Right. Okay. Mobility. Mobility. I've had several questions come through from guys on the newsletter. If you're not on the newsletter, just go to the website, davehedges.net. I fire it out just about every week. And then this video is that newsletter done when I get around to it a few weeks later. Terrible introduction, I know. But we get questions on mobility a lot. You know, I work with a lot of sports people, martial arts guys in particular. And, you know, if you're a 40-year-old office worker who's just taken up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mobility is going to be on your mind a lot. Up here in Dungannon, I see a lot of hurlers, and hip mobility is woeful. Thoracic spine mobility is woeful. So we get questions on mobility. So, but as a detailed and nuanced topic, it's something we have to look at as from a very basic position, fundamental position of what actually is mobility. Where does it come from? So what is mobility? If we think of flexibility as the total range of motion available as a joint, we can think of mobility as the ability to control that movement from start to finish. If we can go to end range passively, and we've got very little strength there, we've got that flexibility, but then we can go to and come back from with some level of control, therefore force. That's mobility. It's controlled movement. And when I say controlled, it's not consciously controlled, it's subconsciously controlled movement. The subconscious is your central nervous system. It's your brain, it's your spinal cord. That is like the CPU in your computer. It kind of runs the show. Nothing happens without the CPU saying so. So if you want a muscle to contract, the nervous system tells the muscle to contract. You want it to relax again, central nervous system tells it to relax again. Simple as that. More often than not, movement restrictions, mobility restrictions are muscle tension. Is that habitual tension from just your day-to-day activity? Is it a training scar? Is it something in your training that is overridden natural movement? So I see a lot with Thai boxers getting this rounded posture. I see a lot with karate guys with their feet just locked out into supinated arch shapes. You see jiu-jitsu guys, again, I'm getting a little bit rounded, but more a case of, it's like they can't use their legs anymore. They don't know how to stand on their feet. And we could go on and go on and go on, and we can paint stereotypes through every single sport. There are training scars inherent in all sports. If all your focus and attention is on moving a particular way, and you move that way really well under high stress, that will become your default. Where do all the fighters in particular come to see me the most is in the few weeks leading up to an event where they are training the hardest. And more often than not, that's when their fight posture has become their default posture. Gray Cook says it best: do not let your sporting posture become your default posture. Yes, if you're a professional athlete, fair enough. Chances are you're not. I'm not. I never was. Yeah? No matter how many years I put in 10, 15, 20 hour training weeks. That's 10 hours of training, 20 hours of training. I still wasn't a professional athlete. Do you know what I mean? Where are we? So, mobility. Mobility starts and finishes in the central nervous system. The central nervous system wants safety, and it wants efficiency. It wants you to be safe, it wants you to be the lowest energy cost possible. That's why getting big, put on a stack of muscle is really, really hard, because it's inefficient to carry that much muscle. If you want to increase mobility, develop mobility, you've got to look at several options, several avenues of thought. One is, are you doing it in a safe way? If your nervous system feels threatened, it will shut movement down. We all know this. We've all been injured, and we've all felt the body tighten up around that injury. Movement around the injury becomes restricted, so that we protect the injury, we don't cause any further damage, and healing can start to happen. Now, we also know that healing then happens best once we reintroduce movement, and the earlier we do that, the better. And a lot of the people I deal with in here, they're coming in with injuries that are 10, 15, 20 years old. They're healed, but the movement restriction was never cleared. Everything's still tight and protective around there. And we have to show that joint, those joints, that injury site, that it's safe to move. And so often, once we do that, 2 or 3 other issues all resolve themselves as well. So-called compensations. So safety is important. So that should guide your training. If you're just trying to touch your toes and you're just ramming into it day in, day out, and it's hurting and it's sore and blah, 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 are you creating safety? Does your body perceive that hip flexion, that hamstring length, that spine rounding? Does it perceive that as safe? Or does it go, oh, no, that hurts, that's sore, I don't know if I can recover from that. Let's just tighten up a little bit more to prevent that happening again. And we see that a lot. So what would create safety? Gradual exposure to both range of motion and control within that range. What do we call control through range of motion? We can file that under strength. So we mentioned the hamstrings getting longer. Can the hamstrings tolerate getting longer under load? Romanian deadlifts, kettlebell swings, even bridges to some extent will help train the hamstrings to tolerate lengthening under load. As you lower that bar in the Romanian deadlift, as the kettlebell swings back, you're lengthening the hamstrings. Superb, cleaning that nice hip hinge up. What's the opposite? If the hamstrings are getting longer on the back of the joint, what's happening on the front of the joint is something's getting shorter. These are the hip flexors. Are they used to getting short? Maybe doing some hip flexion exercises, bringing the knees in towards the torso, hanging leg raises, reverse crunches, crisscross type movements, dead bug type movements. Maybe they'll help put strength into the closing side of the joint. The spine rounding. Well, the back needs to open, the front needs to close, doesn't it? So where does that happen? That happens on crunches. So roll ups, crunches, again, dead bugs, again, hanging leg raises. So you see how we can break down a toe touch into several elements. It's not just, let's just hammer away, hammer away, hammer away. What's moving? Can we build strength, and can we open one side, close the other side? Quite often, not always, muscles don't like to lengthen because they don't have the strength to lengthen. So we have to get those muscles stronger. So maybe the low back, and the low back is a contentious issue anyway, but people fear hurting their back, so they don't train it. Can we not see the issue in that? Deadlifts are safe. Kettlebell swings are one of the, I believe, safest ways to train a hip hinge, to develop good hamstrings, to develop a good, strong lower back. I have had many a client including myself, I actually got into kettlebell swings with back injuries. I was a cripple. I'd done my back in, and I gently taught myself the kettlebell swing. This is back in 2005-06. Gently taught myself the kettlebell swing, and that was a big part of me coming back from my own back injuries. And then later on got certified and started teaching it widely. Many people since then have developed stronger backs and have reported less back pain. Could weakness and tightness be related? Possibly, quite possibly. Add strength, then add length. How easy is that? Add strength into the range of motion you've currently got, and it will open up the next bit of range of motion. Then I'll add in the next bit of range of motion. Just recently, I have a client who has a hip issue. We've got her to the stage where she can squat pain-free using a box squat. Now what we're doing, she's using the same weight. She's going to stay on the same weight for a period of time, but her progression, progressive resistance training, the resistance she's progressing is the range of motion, the mobility. She's at a certain box height, which is limiting how deep she squats, and we're going to lower that box by 1/2 inch, boom, another 1/2 inch, boom, da, 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 da. As she gets strong at one range, one height, it opens up the next bit. Now we get strong through that range, it opens up the next bit. Then it gets strong through that range, it opens up the next bit. And this is a lovely way of developing mobility, is gradually increasing the range of motion by getting strong in the existing range of motion. Romanian deadlifts, squats, even overhead presses, Turkish get-ups, windmills, they're great exercises for helping you achieve this. Hanging scap-ups, scapular push-ups, again, great exercises for doing this. Because as you learn to control your scapula, which is the key, one of the keys to unlocking upper body mobility, as they start to move more and more, all the muscles around it wake up, get stronger, allow more movement, get stronger until you're moving through a complete range. We mentioned upper body mobility, and one of the keys there being scapula. What is the other main key is actually your breathing. A lot of habitual tightness is stress related, and stress related breathing is high and tight chest breathing. Disaster for being able to move well. You want to move well, you want to relax the body, relax the breathing. When you are breathing in a relaxed manner, tension through the whole system dissipates. You become more relaxed, the body moves that little bit more easily. If you've ever tried to move somebody who's asleep, unconscious, drunk, you will feel how loosey-goosey and mobile that person is. Yet when they're awake, they might be as stiff as a board. So, where am I going with that? Yeah, basically being relaxed. Long exhales, chill, breathe better. Now, in terms of your upper body mobility, your thoracic spine is your rib cage is your thoracic spine. Your shoulder blades glide across your rib cage. So if your rib cage isn't moving well, if you're not breathing right, and when I say breathing right, when you inhale, you're inhaling in all three dimensions. You're expanding on the inhale and contracting again, shrinking again on the exhale. You inhale, the diaphragm falls, you exhale, it lifts. You inhale, the ribs open, you exhale, the ribs close. Yeah, there's expansion front to back, there's expansion side to side. That's proper breathing. Most don't do that, most will breathe. And you'll see the shoulders go up and down. We're using our neck. The neck muscles are so-called accessory breathing muscles. They're for a reason. They should never be primary. They're there to support everything else. So you want to move better, you want better mobility, breathe better. That's your first step. That's going to open up a whole lot of stuff. Then, specifically, what mobility do you want to achieve and by how much? If it's a deeper squat, fine. Gradually, you use the box squat and gradually lower that box. Yeah? Don't have to increase the range. If you can do that while identifying where your restriction is it the foot ankle complex? Is it the knee? Is it the hip joint? Is it the lumbopelvic area? Is it the spine, thoracic spine? Is it the shoulders? Where is it? Yeah? If you can lie down and move your arm like so, if you go to a therapist and they move your arm like that, why then can you not do it when you're standing? There's a question for you. So can we create safety? Can we get to a point and go, oh, hold on a sec. I get to here and now my low back. Ah, right, okay. What am I going to do about that? Honestly, I would recommend straight arm strength for shoulder mobility. What that means is any lifts that you do with your upper body that don't involve bending the elbow. So, Turkish get-ups, kettlebell windmills, scapular push-ups, scapular pulls in all directions. Yeah. Kettlebell arm bars. Amazing shoulder mobility because they don't allow the elbow, such a key joint. We use it all the time for everything. And I can use my elbow without needing to move my shoulder. So if we take the elbow out of the equation by a straight arm, it allows the shoulder, or we'll say encourages the shoulder to actually move well. And nearly every muscle in our upper body, front and back, including the neck muscles, are all involved in some way of allowing or disallowing shoulder movement. Yeah? When you feel your scapula, your shoulder blades start to load up in things like Turkish get-ups, in things like windmills, in your scapular pulls and pushes, you feel how your shoulder blades move across your rib cage. Simply have your buddy put their hand on your scapula as you move it. And wow, that's eye-opening. Yeah? Now your brain goes, fuck yeah, I like that. And I'll remember it. And it starts allowing you to move it. Now we've got to hit it, like all skills, with frequency. Frequency. Safe, frequent, progressive resistance training. How's that? All right. So, training, warm up. This is perfect. When you're warming up, you want the body to move better at the end of the warm up than at the start. So why not do mobility drills there? Yeah. Do them in a way that gradually ramps up. So start with something really easy, get to slightly more difficult. As the body temperature goes up, you start breathing a little bit. That's when you got bigger movements. The opposite then on the cool down, so just do the warm up in reverse. You got your big lifts, they're your big lifts. Your assistance work, can they be mobility based? Bicep curl, for example. Yeah, you see bicep curls being done through partial ranges. We're not straightening the elbow, and also with really shitty shoulder positioning. Yeah, what if, as that goes down, I actually go all the way down? Now, I think it's Brad Schoenfeld is currently telling us through his research, stretching a muscle under load is a great way of hypertrophy, developing size in that muscle. Beautiful. Thanks, Brad. So as I lower that, if I lower it, you can't see this now, but if I straighten that arm and internally rotate that shoulder as it goes behind me, that is a bicep stretch. Yeah? So, as we go down into our bicep curl, can I actually do that? And then can I bring it back up? As it comes up, see that shoulder's internally rotated? Can I externally rotate it and bring it back and down? Yeah? Boom. Is that going to limit how much load you can do on your bicep curl? Of course it is. But is it giving you better mobility through the front side of the arm shoulder? Oh yeah. That's simple. If it's squat day, what do your lunges look like? Yeah. After you've done your squats, your assistance work, do you do goblet squats? Do you do lunges? Goblet squats, brilliant. Elevate your heels, go even deeper. Fantastic. Lunges, go longer, go different directions, introduce different movements. So can you do long stance split squats, so-called nowadays, knees over toe, I don't even know what we call them, split squats. Can you do Cossack squats, lateral lunges, curtsy or dragon lunges? Do you know what I mean? How many ways can you step to create a lunge pattern? And can you do it with a little bit of load? Yeah? There's your assistance work for your squat, but with a mobility bent to it. If it's a hip hinge, if it's a deadlift type day, can you do Jefferson curls? What about ab work where you're curling the body up? There's a mobility bent on your deadlift day, and so on and so forth. While this subject can be immensely complex, like most things with the human body, it is massively complex and complicated, but application is quite simple. Warm up with mobility, cool down maybe with a bit of mobility. Lift heavy, but then in your assistance work where it's no longer required to be heavy, or it might be single joint type work, use large and gradually larger ranges of motion, and you won't get tight and muscle bound. You'll start to feel loosey-goosey and able to move. Yeah? Simple, not necessarily easy. Okay? You want to start somewhere, start with the breathing. Make sure you're breathing in 3 dimensions. Make sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. Start there. Then after that, it's frequent, safe, progressively developed movement. And that is mobility in a nutshell. And if there's no work of it, if you're still stuck, if you're still struggling, well, reach out, let me know, get in touch, drop a comment. You're going to like and subscribe anyway, so you might as well drop a comment here, or get on to davehedges.net and find me a message through there. All right, I'm not hard to find, and if you fire questions and comments in, I can answer them in future videos. Yeah, we're here to help, so let me help you. Mobility, guys, simple, not easy. If you're wondering what I'm looking at, my puppy's down there. Do you want to see? Let's see if I can get this. Whoops, a daisy. You see her under the table? What a life, eh? Right, till next time.